Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Frying Pan Podcast. It's me. It's just me today. It's just Dan because today we're getting serious for the first time. I think actually ever. Normally, when there's serious topics, I tend to avoid them just because I like to keep the show, lighthearted. It's how it's always been. It's how I try to want to keep it, but I feel like what's been going on in the world recently is too important to ignore. So today we're talking about everything with like the Black Lives Matter and everything that happened, everything that's going on from the protests to the riots. So, I mean, if it's something you're not interested in, honestly, I encourage you to give this a listen, see if I can give you some insight, maybe a perspective on what's going on. And if you are just tired of hearing about it because you've seen so much, then I understand. That's how I was at first. Initially, I saw what happened. Well, here, let me give you the rundown of what happened if you don't understand. I'm surprised you wouldn't, but just in case. Video came out of a man named George Floyd. He was being arrested for, I think it was like $20 of counterfeit money, which I don't even know if that was even like proven to be actually a thing. They just had a suspicion. And it was another case of police brutality, white cop beating up a black man for essentially being black. And the cop had a knee on the neck. He couldn't breathe. That's why it's the famous, I guess, slogan right now is "I can't breathe" because he couldn't. And they try to pass it on as if he didn't die right there on the spot with him cutting off like all the blood flow to his head. He had his knee on his neck. There's three other cops, didn't do anything. People yelling at them to help, but I've seen people get mad at like, oh, why didn't the people help? And it's like, what are you gonna jump in, shove the cop off and get shot for it? Then you have two people dead, and it's just a sad thing to think about, but that's just the reality of the situation. Furthermore, or past that, nothing happened. So riots, well, initially starts as peaceful protesting, which should be all for. Nothing wrong with that, which turned into rioting and looting and fucking up stores. Like, the famous one was the Target in Minneapolis got gutted, absolutely gutted. People were coming in just taking shit, and it's crazy. It's a crazy world we're living in right now. But that's basically what sparked everything that's been going on. I think we're on our ninth straight day of protests around the U.S., which I might add all 50 states that make up the United States. Every one of them has had a protest, which, should maybe signal to people in the government like, hey, maybe you should take this serious and not just send in the military and try to kill people, because who fucking knows? But I imagine if you've been on social media, you've seen the videos of looting, the cops shooting people with rubber bullets, pepper spraying. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess at the moment. And I'm just here because I don't have a huge platform, but I have a platform nonetheless, and I feel that, every voice matters, and I just want to show support. I mean, as a white male, obviously, I have white privilege. Fuck ton of it. I've never feared for my life in a traffic stop, except for one time when I had my black friend in the car years ago. And that's just the harsh reality of life, and that's the world we live in. And that's what all the protests is for, is to try and solve that issue. It's just it's hard to fight a mindset, if that makes sense. Because obviously there's racist people, and there's people in power that have no idea what to do with the power, so they abuse it, hence a lot of the police. Now, I say this, not every police officer's bad. You've definitely seen videos, I think it was in Michigan, one cop said, hey, we support you guys, let's march with you. And in other places, there are people, I think the National Guard came in and they were talking to people and like, yes, we support you. But at this point, it's out of their hand. They had to do what they had to do. Like, there are instances of good police, and shout out to them. And shout out to the people who resigned from being a cop because they didn't support what was going on. I hope they find work and hope it all turns around for them. But the fact of the matter is, at the moment, the bad eggs are definitely outweighing the good eggs, and that's why people are protesting. There's no problem in peaceful protesting. If you think there is, I don't want to call you ignorant, but I just don't think you're seeing the bigger picture. It's it's a mess. It's hard to also do this by myself because normally it's easier to ping pong off somebody else. But I'm kind of just spitballing, reading my list and whatever. But where I stand is obviously I support Black Lives Matter 100%. I've donated what I can to help people. I've signed the petitions to help put those officers behind bars, which as of today, all of them got charged. And I can't remember the dude who had the knee on his neck. He's charged with second-degree murder, and somehow that dude has had like 12 police brutality cases, and none of them have gone anywhere, which is crazy to me to begin with. That's why we still have the fucking protests. Get it? Getting it? Is it coming in clear? You understanding? I hope so. But it's just crazy. It's just very crazy. If you've been on social media at all, you've definitely seen videos of peaceful protesting turned rioting because either the cops have had enough and they start just running into crowd with pepper spray and rubber bullets, or people that don't support the movement are just there to fucking run into a Nike and steal some shoes. People like that, it's so despicable. Like I've seen people say like property damage is nothing compared to like a black man's life, which obviously entirely true. But I don't even think those need to be comparable because I feel like it's not supporting any cause whatsoever. It's just being greedy and destructive to be greedy and destructive. And people are like that. It's the same thing with people that are racist in America. And that's the hard thing to fight about all of this. Is obviously you can support it, you can protest, and that's all good. That's what we should be doing. We should be sending a message, which I'd say we are at the moment. But the fact of the matter is we're fighting an idea. We're fighting a mindset, and nobody's born racist. A lot of it is just passed down from generations. And inevitably with time, that mindset will definitely fade out. But I mean, it's been fucking hundreds of years and we're still dealing with this problem. It's crazy. I keep saying it's crazy because it's something that's obviously been an issue for a long time, but it's insane that it's finally happening. I mean, I saw a great tweet and people are like, why was this like George Floyd's death, the straw that broke the camel's back? And I mean, we're still in the midst of pandemic. Don't forget that. Everyone's unemployed, no health care. College kids are getting kicked out, no tuition refunds, food bank lines miles long, no UI checks coming in, one stim check, and then we still have fucking Trump doing absolutely nothing, which is baffling to me. But honestly, I've come to expect it from that man at this point, which is sad to say, but that's the harsh reality of it, you know? It's insane, man. It's insane. And if you're wondering, like, oh, why is this important? Like, it's been going on for so long. Or if you're a type of person that, like, you see it on social media and you can't handle it anymore because you're just tired of seeing negativity. Like, I understand that. I did that at first, and that was my mistake. I'll admit to that. I was only seeing negativity on my timeline, so I was like, I'll just deactivate my social until all of this is done. But I mean, the more I saw in the news, the more I'm like, no, that's obviously not the right course of action. I need to be smarter. I need to be more informed. So I did my research. I learned the majority of things I could, and that's why I'm here to, I guess, talk about it today. I don't know. It's something that's been bothering me too. So this episode is kind of like my personal therapy, just to be selfish, you know me. But regardless, the autopsy came out and it showed that George Floyd was murdered. So those cops were charged, which is great. And we're still protesting just due to the fact that that's a great start, but it's definitely not enough because we're not trading lives. That's not the way life works. That's not how it should work. So everyone's coming together, black, white, all races. It's a beautiful thing to see. And it's nice to see that everyone who is white and understands that, like, hey, white privilege really is a thing. It's nice to see that they're admitting to that. Even it's a hard thing to admit. It's hard to admit that you have it better off than people just based off skin color you're born as, which is such a sad thing to say, but that's the world we live in, you know? So it's nice to see that. It's nice to see everybody coming together, supporting one another. I don't necessarily agree with, like, shaming people that can't do a lot, But I don't want to shame people at all, but I feel if it's not the time to just not be informed and be like, I'm not racist. You have to be anti-racist. You have to be 100% against it. You can't just be like, well, I have no problem with it. It's no, you have to say there is a problem and I need to fix it, or I need to help fix it, because obviously one person can't do it. That's just how it be. But regardless, I'm very happy to see people come together. Now, I am terrified for the people out there protesting who are just getting shot with rubber bullets when, fun fact, no one should be getting shot directly with a rubber bullet. It should be bounced. That's just how it worked. Shout out, I heard that from, I think his name was Reggie Watts. But I heard that from him. So shout out him. But regardless, it's definitely like there's two sides of the coin, and we're not going to know everything if we're not there personally. I feel you're definitely going to get more of the real holistic truth if you look at like the videos posted on social media, because if you see on news outlets, they're going to get cut off on the parts where something bad happens, and then there's millions of videos online of police officers like inciting these riots, like breaking the glass on businesses, and like tackling people and framing them with weapons just so they have a reason to arrest them. It's baffling. It's actually insane that people like this can get to a point of power and nothing happens. Nothing ever happens. Nothing happens until shit like this, until like we protest, we riot and shit like this, and then it's always it's basically like, not to make light of it, but like it's a surprise Pikachu face of like, you can't just kill black people, and then the government is just like, what? We can't? It's so baffling to me. I'll never understand it. It's always so baffling how it's hard to be a good person for people. It's hard to like, I just don't understand how a racist mindset can like persist through years. Like, no one's born racist. This is just facts. It's not fucking gene. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm tall, have blonde hair, oh, and I'm racist. It's not, no. It's passed down for family. And like, I'll admit, my grandparents, pretty racist. Old people I've grown up with, pretty racist. Nothing, but I'm not an idiot, and I don't subscribe to that mindset just because someone's a different color that I'm going to judge them. That's so despicable and disgusting. But that's just how it is. Like in earlier times, that's how people were, and that just keeps getting passed down from generation to generation. And it's, how do you fix that? How do you tell someone to just stop being racist? And I mean, I guess the main way is what we're doing right now, is when you have 50 states involved in a protest on like equal rights and Black Lives Matter, you'd think it would spark the idea in people's heads like, oh, maybe I should evolve past this mindset. But people are still having a hard time doing that. I don't know. It's crazy to think. It's crazy that we live in this time. It's crazy that we've just come off a pandemic and now we've transitioned into a whole movement. I mean, to be fair, this has been a long time coming. And I imagine, like, we've had protests before for numerous Black lives that are lost to police brutality. Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, all those lives. But this being after everything bad that's been happening over this year, fuck 2020, by the way, it just feels like a wake-up call to America. And the fact that we have a racist president is not helping either. I mean, Donald Trump is the kind of guy where it was like, I can say the N-word because I had a black friend. He's that kind of guy, and he like doesn't see a problem with it. It's just baffling. Like, you have a giant fucking man-child running the country, and it's like, get rid of him. It's like, oh, do we want the other guy who believes in like electroshock therapy for gay people? Like, I mean, the president election lately has just been the lesser of two evils. Because then you got Joe Biden, who's like fucking off his rocker, and I've talked about that. We know this. But it's such a scary world to live in, especially if you're a person of color. But I mean, obviously in this episode, I don't know how long I'm going to go, but I do want to talk for a while. And I will say, If you want to look in the description, or if you want to look on my personal social media or the social media of this account, you'll find links to places you can donate. There's the link in the description I have on Instagram will take you to, it's millions of different orgs you can support and donate, or petitions you can sign. There's so many different options. I mean, I'd recommend, hey, get involved with all of them if you can, but if not, you don't have to. But I do, no, fuck that. You have to. At this point, there's no, you can't just sit on the sidelines and watch this shit happen and be like, oh, it doesn't affect me, it doesn't matter. But I know after all of this, things will get better. So at this point, a lot of it is just waiting to see how things happen. As long as we're, I guess, together about things. Not like a hive mind, obviously, but I think if we come together, it'll be fine. A lot of this is just going to take time, and these protests are going to be going on for a very long time. But all we can do is support. I'd say if you want to, get involved with the protests. I mean, if you fear for your life, don't. It's tough. I just think if you can support in any way you can, you're going to be better off than if you don't. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm trying to use this little platform I have to at least have a voice in something. I will say on the protesting and rioting, I support, obviously, the peaceful protest. That's hard not to support. But the looting and the rioting, 9 times out of 10, it's just fucking white kids running around stealing shit from what I've seen in videos. And it's so frustrating because they're not supporting anything. They're just out there to get fucking free shit and leave. And it's despicable. It's disgusting. And I mean, the even crazier thing is when the initial one that happened in Minneapolis, a lot of like black store owners were getting their shit like burned down, destroyed. And it's like, that's entirely against what you're supporting right now. And I don't fuck with those people. I don't care about those people. I don't know. I guess I'm just at a loss for words because I'm trying to articulate how I feel. And I think I'm trying to do the best I can, but it's hard when you're not affected directly. I'm just giving it from like a white privilege perspective. I'm viewing it as, I will never personally understand, but I stand with you, if that makes sense. I fully support everything. It's just hard for me to, I guess, feel like I'm making a huge difference. Because like I said initially, Robert brought up a good point of like, a lot of protesting involves fighting a policy, but when you're fighting a mindset, it's hard to change the way people think. I mean, I'd say if you wanted to invoke change in something, it'd definitely be the police force itself. Maybe a lot more fucking training for the people that don't know what to do in a scenario instead of just shooting somebody for no reason, which seems to be the case lately. And it shouldn't be the lesser of two evils. Like, oh, why are you shooting to kill? Just shoot him in the legs. It's like, that's not a scenario that should be presented at all. If that's your mindset, like, get the fuck out. I mean, I will say a lot of the protests aren't just in America. A lot of countries around the world are standing together to just be a part of it. Because like I've seen a lot of New Zealand, I've seen a lot of European countries like Germany. But I mean, it's nice to know that it's mostly just a problem in the US, but it's a problem that everyone acknowledges is a problem. And it's nice to see a bunch of people coming together to try and fix that problem. It's rough. It's tough. It's hard to get through to people, I guess. It's hard to, I guess, invoke change in people that don't want to change. I mean, look at our, Congress, for example. It's been just old white people and just old people for years now because they're stuck in their ways and they don't want to change. I mean, a lot of people are that way. Nobody likes change, but sometimes change has to happen for you to grow. Well, it always does. And people don't like that. People are afraid of it, and that's fair. I understand. But to think that there isn't a problem going on in the US right now is just plain ignorant and you don't care. And that's how it is. And if you're racist, go fuck yourself. You don't have an opinion. Nothing you say really matters in this shit. I understand people saying oh, all lives matter. It's yeah, all lives matter, but not until not until Black Lives Matter, you know what I mean? It's crazy. I will say, light that's come from, interesting, funny things that have come from this. A lot of K-pop accounts have, ruined, police's, social medias with like fan cams where they just post like 2-minute videos of their favorite K-pop star dancing and shit. And I think that's hilarious. And I think they've done that in like almost every state now, which is so funny. And California had like a civilian call-in thing to where they could talk about the issue, and that didn't go so well for them. I don't know how they thought they weren't just going to get fried the whole time, but that's what happened. And it's just the reality of it. That's how it should be. I mean, there's a lot of like governors and people in power that just aren't doing anything, just waiting for it to blow over. Hell, Trump's trying to call in the fucking military on people, and it's like, this isn't a dictatorship. As much as you'd like it to be, this isn't fucking 1940s in Germany. We're past that. We're way past that, bud. But apparently it doesn't feel that way. It's baffling. It's baffling that we can be in this time where people don't see an issue, or people see an issue and they don't do anything about it. I don't know. It's crazy to me. I just want to see, as a nation, obviously you want to see us grow, want to see us move past this, but it's not going to start until the people in power essentially are out of power. That means like president, government, police especially. But I mean, like I said, not all police officers are bad. Like, are a lot of them? Yes. A lot of bad people get into power and abuse it because they have no idea how to be in a position of power without abusing it. And that sucks. It's the harsh reality of life. We can't always have good people, but it's like, it's the same as, like say, you had a bad pilot. You can't have like a bad egg for a pilot. It doesn't make sense. That mindset should be applied to police too. I mean, what? The pilot's having an off day. He crashed and killed fucking 400 people. It's like, no, that's not a, I mean, it happens. And neither should be, oh, black man got stopped at a traffic stop and got shot to death for fucking getting his license out of his pocket. It's so crazy to me. It's just so fucking crazy to me. But I know we'll grow past it. And eventually, there'll be brighter days. But as for now, we just gotta go with it, I guess. I guess not go with it, but I mean, go with it in terms of supporting it. If you don't support it, I mean, message me on social media somewhere. Message me, email us, in the pan podcast, gmail.net, or .com, fuck. Let me know, I'm curious what people think. I want to know where people stand on this, because I feel like there's only one side that logically makes sense, but I would be very curious on someone that is on like, I guess, racist side to understand their reasoning for it, because it doesn't make sense to me. That mindset, I can't wrap my head around. It never made sense to me. I don't know. I just don't get it. But if there's someone out there listening that's like that, please message me, because I'm genuinely curious. And if I lose listeners because they don't agree with what I'm saying, that's fine. I don't want to be supported by people that just are living fucking hundreds of years back and think we should still have slaves. Because believe it or not, even if you don't think that's how it is, that's how you're thinking. That is the mindset you're subscribing to. And I would never support that in my fucking life. That's a crazy old world, as my grandpa used to say. And that's the truth at the moment. This year has been nonstop. It's definitely a big wake-up call, though, which is nice. I mean, we had a pandemic. We've taken the steps to, I guess, be more safe health-wise, and that's good. I mean, the deaths, not so much, but that's the reality of being unprepared because your president decided, oh, we don't need a pandemic relief. That's fine. We don't need it. It's fine. I kind of need that money to go golfing. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. But nonetheless, I don't know where to go. I've just kind of been rambling for like 40-50 minutes now, because I mean, it's something that I'm very passionate about, but it's very hard for me to articulate how I feel. And I've said that before. Yeah, just keep repeating myself over and over, I guess, because I feel like I haven't gotten out what I need to say, I guess. I mean, I will say, on top of all of this, if you know someone that is very like fence sitting about this, about like, oh, I don't want to get involved in this, I don't need to, especially if they're white, I mean, talk to them. Like, you need to have these uncomfortable conversations to grow. Like, I don't know, like race, it's not an easy thing to talk about because, I mean, it's hard for people to acknowledge that there is an issue. Like, I mean, it's taken people years to fucking understand that like white privilege is a thing, but now that it's at the forefront, people that I feel that people that can admit it are better off than people that can't. And if you can't admit it, then your eyes are closed, man. I don't know what to tell you. But have these conversations, friends, family, grandparents, whoever doesn't like isn't on board with this, try to get them on board. I don't see why you wouldn't. Like I understand like yes, the conversation is going to be uncomfortable, it's going to be different, and if you have different mindsets, you don't like to disagree with like the people you love, but it's definitely something you need to get drilled into their heads that like, hey, this is important and here's why. And if they don't understand, however long it takes, you got to convince, because that's the thing. It's hard to fight an idea, and the idea of racism is a hard thing you can't like just take down. You can't just like put a law in and be like, all right, can't be racist anymore. But you can take the racist people out of the equation that are involved in like places of power. And that's the step we need to take. We need to be better. And those people need to be better. Everybody needs to be better. Everybody needs to understand the situation and grow from it. That's life. If you stay the same your entire life, you're never going to achieve anything, regardless. I mean, entirely out of this scenario. That's just how growing up is. If you stay the same, you subscribe to the same mindset for the rest of your life, you will never grow. That's why, like, people like businesses like Amazon, they keep growing because they keep innovating. You have to keep innovating, and that especially applies to this mindset. You have to grow past it. You can't be stuck in the mud thinking that everything's okay because it doesn't affect you, because it will. I mean, this shit's affecting everybody. It's affecting the human race, and you're a part of that. That's life. That's how it is. I don't know. It's tough, man. It's hard for me not to be disappointed about all of this. I don't know. If you're at all on social media and you see shit like this, repost it, spread it, get the word out to everybody that you interact with. Like, this is a big issue, and it's not just going to go away. It has to be fought head on, and pretty much need everybody involved. I don't know. I know this is a lot different than the normal episodes I do. Normally I don't want to do... I'll do serious episodes when the time needs it, but I feel this is something that I can't just... I mean, I avoid a lot of things in life. I avoid a lot of issues, but I mean, this is something that I really just can't. I really can't just ignore it. It's been bothering me way too much. It's also the only thing I've seen, so it's hard to ignore it, and that's how it should be. It should be hard to ignore. It should be right in your face, and that's just the truth. I mean, it's like, it's depressing. Yes, it's very taxing on the mental, but I mean, that's how I felt. But at this point, it's bigger than me, and I need to put it before me at the moment. I can take my time later. I can deactivate all my social and take some time to myself if that's what I feel will make me better. But at this point in my life, I need to be better. And that's why I took the time. I did my research. I learned what I need to learn, and I'm happy to say that I support all of this. I'm very happy to be a part of it. I think I'm going to go to a local peaceful protest in my state probably this weekend, and we'll take it from there. I don't know. It's a crazy world we're living in. So, I mean, I hope everybody's safe. If you do go to protests and things break out, don't try being a hero. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get yourself killed. That's not solving anything. It's just going to come down to not who breaks first, but how people will be able to get through to like the police and the people against the protest, because it's definitely going to be hard, but I think within time it'll happen. I know within time it'll happen. I think this is the biggest like protests and riots. I mean, it's the biggest I've seen in my lifetime, but to my knowledge, I'd say like the Rodney King riots is probably the last huge impactful one. but both fighting for change in color. Not change in color, sorry. Well, change in respect for color, because there's a disparity. But yeah, I've been going at this for long. I think I've said the same thing like 3 times over and over again, but not the same episode, because this is important to me and I want to talk about this. And Robert's not on the show this time because he didn't feel informed enough and he didn't want to say anything, that he didn't believe in, I guess. I don't know. You can add him. You can talk to him. But he just didn't feel informed enough, and that's all. But that was the frying pan. That was this episode. I think 83, 84. I'd have to check. I don't know. I'm just kind of lying on my floor talking to my mic, just saying what I need to say. I hope you agree with me in what I've said. I hope, I don't know, we can all come together and hopefully find a solution. So on that note, this is the Frying Pan Pod. Hope you're all having a great day. Hope you're all being safe. Might talk about this next week. Maybe not the same degree, but maybe just an update. But I felt this was important, and for everyone out there involved in this movement right now, just know I support you, and if you need anything, message me. Happy to help. I think that is it. And for the next 8 minutes and 39 seconds, it's going to be silent.